afternoon. Welcome aboard to the world famous Boston Duck Tours. I'm your conductor. My name is Jay Javi Cavanaugh, but y'all can call me Javi Heartbreak, as in Heartbreak Hill on the Boston Marathon course. I was a Boston Marathon runner. Has anyone on board ever run a marathon before? Okay, has anyone run a half marathon before? How about a 10K? How about a 5K? How about running to the bathroom? Come on, we've all done that. Yeah, we'll call it the emergency walk. Speaking of running, let me introduce the man who's responsible for keeping our duck running safely on the land and the river. Let's give a hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Hip hip hooray! Now, who's ever been on a world famous Boston Duck Tour before? Okay, none of you. Well, first, this is our 30th season here at the Boston Duck Tours. Yeah, we've been doing this for 30 years, and so it's a big year for us. And so now, since you've never experienced our Boston Duck Tours, we talk about the 3 F's. Freedom, first, fun. Freedom, oh yeah, see where that scaffolding is? See what that scaffolding is? Okay, that is Dorchester Heights, which is in South Boston. Anyone from Tennessee, Knoxville, Tennessee? Henry Knox. Henry Knox brought the cannon from Fort Ticonderoga down the Pioneer Valley, down through the Hudson River Valley, down across. Oh yeah, down probably. First, we got to go down through the Green Mountains, then across the Pioneer Valley. Would have been faster if we took the fast pike, but that's where the fast pike is. And he put the cannon on top of Dorchester Heights. So, yes. And Henry Knox, he learned this. He was not a military man. You know where he learned it? The books. His father was a bookseller. And he loved military history. And his favorite character from history, Hannibal. Loved about, like, the idea about, so he was inspired by, of course, like, bringing the cannon. And now had General Gage, the British general, sent a scouting party up. Now, they always said George Washington, he never told the lie. George Washington would have been a great poker player. He was good at bluffing. Not only did he put cannon up there, but he also had his soldiers cut down some trees to kind of mimic cannon, and also had General Gage send a scouting party up there. They realized that the cannon would not have any ammunition. They had no powder. But March 17th, we'll talk about why General Gage did not send a scouting party. So that's why we have, our St. Patrick's Day parade is not a St. Patrick's Day parade, it is a evacuation day parade. So that's how the people of the city, that's how the Boston city employees used to get a civic holiday. Because they couldn't write this, so that's why I call it evacuation day. So we're going to talk about first public lending library, first subway system, first African American win the Congressional Medal of Honor, first woman ever to go under anesthesia for childbirth. Yeah, that's right, moms. Anyone's ever birthed a child, talk about epidurals. And finally, my friends, we're going to have some fun. Y'all ready to have some fun? All right, cool. How are we going to have fun? We're going to make the duck quack. But we can only do it under my command, because there are some neighborhoods in Boston that do not like the quacking. We refer to these very unfortunate neighborhoods as quacktose intolerant communities. It's going to get worse, folks, so just be prepared. So we have developed a clever workaround. We call this the quack cue. It is a word or phrase that each conductor creates to suit their character. When you hear this word or phrase shouted out by your conductor, that would be your cue, your command to go quack, quack. Now, since I'm a runner and I am from Boston, you can kind of quickly figure out that I got that Boston accent. So I would always hear the starting officials go, runners on your mark. For those of you not familiar with the Boston accent, what Harvey Hartbeck just said to you is on your mark. So every time you hear me say the words on your mark, that's your cue, your command to go quack, quack. Shall we do a test run? Let's do it. On your mark. Excellent, very good. Okay, so now I've run 4 marathons, 2 of them were Boston, and in 2018 I did what was called an ultra relay, so technically, so I did 5 marathons. I got my start at distance running, sheer survival in my family, because I come from a big family in a part of Boston we call Dorchester, and I come from a family of 18 brothers and sisters. Don't believe me? Yeah, no joke. I'm the baby. Don't believe me? Here we go. Jim, Mary, Peg, Joe, Bubby, Brittany, Billy, Bobby, Donnie, Carrie, Georgie, Richie. Then we had the Anns. We had a Catherine Ann. We had a Margaret Ann. We had a Ruth Ann. We had a Joe Ann. Then we had my next sister Ann. She had no middle name. We just called her Ann. She got the mental torture. I received more of the physical torture. Like my older brothers think of professional wrestling on the History Channel at a child. Games like Title White Child Marcher. Fight or flight. I chose flight. Got really good at endurance running. 2014, I ran my first marathon. 2016, I got to run in the oldest continuously run marathon in the world, the Boston Marathon. And guess where my older brothers were? Heartbreak Hill. Guess what they did? They chased me up Heartbreak Hill. Yeah, I overheard one of them. Come on, Abby, you can catch up to those elite Kenyan runners. I do not catch up to the elite Kenyan runners. Those guys, those men and women go really, they go wicked fast. Okay, let's talk about Boston. Can everyone see this map? Can everyone hear me? Boston is the city of made land. Everything you see in the dark green is the original land of Boston, which is a Native American tribe called Shaman. Shaman means living water. There was actually a natural spring that occurred over on Water Street and Spring Lane. So the Native Americans, now the tribe that lived here were called Massachusetts. That's where our state derives its name from. Massachusetts means those that live by the hill. What hill is that? That's Blue Hill in Milton, Massachusetts. And now the Native Americans were here for about 8,000 years, using this area mainly for fishing and for clamming, as I said before. Then their fun and excitement is ruined in 1629 when the Puritans arrived from England with a Bible and a frown. They liked you if you're a Puritan. If you were not a Puritan, you would not do very well in the town of Boston. They renamed Shaman after the port of Boston in Lancashire because they thought Shaman was too savage of a name. So that's where our city derives its name from. Got it? Awesome. Okay, so this part of Boston where we're at, may I borrow your map right here? Okay, there we go. Thank you. So, where are we? Okay, so we are like here, okay? This is the Seaport District. This is a lot of mainland. We're downtown Boston. The original Shaman Peninsula would be right here, okay? So we're entering the Shaman Peninsula. Now this area was called, he was banned here. It was pretty much, if you've ever been here in like 20 years, you'll just know that there was just this design center, Commonwealth with the World Trade Center, what it was called. And then in 2003, Mayor Tom Menino wanted to create Boston. They said needed to have not one but two convention centers so they built. So they wanted to kind of build it in this vacant area, and hope that would spur development in this area. Now the original plan was to have like a nice trolley system here, like a subway system. The Silver Line, that really didn't work out very well. There's our new convention center. Kind of looks like the Starship Enterprise. And Mayor Menino was more into redevelopment of areas like Dorchester, the South End, Roxbury, East Boston. Then he had the job that he loved. I kid you not, he loved the city so much. He worked so hard, it killed him. He was at 70. I think he was in his early 70s. He was diagnosed with cancer. He was just a man that any neighborhood event, he was there with a friend, Way Frank. He enjoyed his food a lot. But he was always just going. You would see him everywhere, and he passes away. Then we had a new mayor from Dorchester. His name was Marty Walsh. He was pro-development. His father was an iron worker and stuff like that. So we wanted to kind of give those guys. But this is development on steroids. The past 20 years. Now this is where a lot of urban planners are like, this is one. Well, it's not a really pretty neighborhood. Why? Well, everything looks the same. Why? Because all the buildings cannot be higher than 20 stories. Logan Airport, right across the harbor. So yeah, and so as they're building all these new buildings, finally, in I think it was 2017 or 2018, Mayor Marty Walsh said, enough with the glass boxes. Okay, can we kind of make it a little bit more? Can we kind of give it a little bit more eye-catching? And also there's a lot of concern with this neighborhood now because this is just 10 feet above sea level. 2019, we had a nor'easter, 13-foot storm surge. This entire road. Yep. Yeah, get a canoe. Yeah, so there's a lot of, so that's why it's going on here. But, okay, so also, I want to talk about, let's talk about some more about now, I'm going to be a little bit somber for a second. Now, we're going to be going by Martin's Playground. Now, who's Martin? April. Now you'll see that I'm dressed up as a marathon runner, so it's something that's really sacred to a lot of. It's the largest, sporting event, the Boston Marathon, run on the third Monday in April. Marathon Monday, 1 million people go out and cheer on the marathon runners. If you've ever been to Boston for Marathon Monday, it's a party. April 15, 2013, that fun and excitement was ruined when the Boston Marathon bombing. This is where we get the term Boston Strong, where Bostonians came to the aid of the thousands of stranded runners. They opened up their homes saying, hey, who needs to get in touch with a loved one? Who needs a place to stay? Who needs a ride to the airport? Who needs, I'll do anything but rub your feet, okay? Then, of course, there was the injured. One of the most injured families was the Richard family from Dorchester. Martin was a little boy that was killed. His sister even loses a leg. Well, the family creates the MRA Foundation, teaching anti-violence and tolerance. And so they also didn't want to have some sort of plaque for their son. They wanted a place where all kids, no matter where they came from, or gay, straight, black, white, Hispanic, or Asian American, of all socioeconomic backgrounds, all races and creeds, could be kids. So they created the Martin's Playground, which is here on your left, right by the Children's Museum. It's awesome. It's a playground that's got a pirate ship. Yeah, it's got a pirate ship. I know all my nieces and nephews are getting older now, so we're not going to take other people's kids. Come on, let's go to the playground. It's really fun. It's awesome. Oh, it's really awesome. Yeah, it's right near the Children's Museum. Okay, so that's Martin's Playground. So if you ever want to come back to Boston, and also it's right across from. You're going to get your cameras ready. I'm going to start saying, get your cameras ready if you want to take. We're going to be going by the Boston Tea Party Museum. So Boston, we like to say, was the birthplace of the U.S. Revolutionary War, but they had to go to Philadelphia to go fill out all the paperwork. In Boston, we also like to say we're the birthplace of the U.S. Revolutionary War, because us Bostonians, we're not passive-aggressive. We are aggressive-aggressive. If you don't like something, you're going to hear about it pretty fast. Wait for somebody to try to cut us off. So, okay, the rallying cry is taxation without representation is tyranny. We are a major port in the British Empire, and we are the bad town. The 1761 to 1773 20 riots occur. The final riot being the Boston Tea Party. How does this all come about? The late fall 1773, the East India Company, they need a bailout. So they go to Parliament. Hi, we have too much tea. Send it over to the colonies. So 3 ships are docked, the Beaver, the Eleanor, and the Dartmouth. And they are loaded with the tea. Now, they've been in port for 3 weeks. Now, the Royal Governor, Thomas Hutchinson, a Tory, tells those ship captains, you better unload that tea. Well, Sam Adams and people like John Hancock say, if you do that, we're going to beat you up, strip you naked, pour tar and feather, and you're going to throw you into Boston Harbor. Now, if you find that alluring, I have some people for you to call. They're called psychiatrists. And so now the ships are docked in Boston Harbor for 3 weeks. Now, if a ship has not been loaded their cargo, if they've been in port for 3 weeks, they got to go back to the port of origin. So on December 16, 1773, 6,000 people are over at the Old South Meeting House, which is about a quarter mile away. And they go, and Sam Adams gives this speech and says, gentlemen, there were women in the crowd, this meeting could do nothing more to save our country. Great line, but it was a signal for his friends, the Sons of Liberty, who are now decked out as Native Americans. They're kind of like, no racial profile there. And it's kind of like, it was Native Americans that did this, yeah. Well, everyone's in on it, and they all go down and destroy the 342 chests of tea. That's when England's had it up to here. That's when the British military come in, and the 2 big troublemakers, John Hancock and Sam Adams, are now wanted men, and now they are hiding out in Lexington and Concord, and we're going to talk about what happens next momentarily. What you're looking at here on your right, that's the Boston Harbor. So this area is also, now we've entered the Shawmut Peninsula. And so this is downtown Boston. Now where those trucks are going into, now that's the Thomas P. O'Neill Tunnel. Now that was the big dig, okay? Where we took our old highway system and we buried it underneath the oldest parts of Boston. Now, did this cost, yes. Now, did it cost a lot of money? Yes. Had it ever been tried before? No. Could it have been managed better? Yes. Did it get all the way of our traffic problem? No. But what it did do was a lot of things. We opened our city to our harbor, cleaned up our air. Get your cameras right. Look here on your right. There's Rose Wharf. Yeah. Also, yeah, so it's real, and also really boosted the real estate here as well. Boston is one of the third most expensive cities to live here in the United States, second only to New York and San Francisco. So, yeah, more than LA. But there's an advantage about living in Boston and New York. You don't need to own a car. Yeah. If you live in Boston and you work in Boston, people want a car. They don't need a car. So here we are. Look over on your right. We're going by the New England Aquarium. The New England Aquarium is also where you can pick up the Boston Duck Tours. Been here since 1969. Now we're going to be taking a left onto State Street. Now this was called King Street in the colonial time. Now Boston. Let's go to our map from 1775, shall we? Where are we? We're here. Yeah, this was called the Long Wharf. So Boston, this area is called Bendel's Cove, very shallow harbor. And so the ship captains of the 17th and early 18th century were getting sick and tired of docking the ships way out in the Boston harbor, the deeper water, and having ships have to row out, unload the cargo, and they're transported here. So they all pooled their resources together and created the longest wharf, a quarter-mile wharf, and they're like, oh, what should we name this? Well, it's really long. Well, let's call it the Long Wharf. That is the only thing in Boston that actually kind of makes sense. Why is it called the Long Wharf? Because it was the longest wharf. So this was where a lot of, actually that hotel, that's the Marriott Long Wharf, it's designed to kind of look like, say like these buildings here, these pretty much these are custom house buildings that were built like in the late 19th century. So, okay. On your Mac? The quacking is lacking. Do not be slacking in the quacking. For I am tracking the quacking. If you are snacking when you could be quacking, I could come back, and I could come back attacking. One more time. On your Mac. Sounds like a Dr. Seuss rhyme, right? Well, guess who was born in Springfield, Massachusetts? Dr. Seuss. Also home of the Basketball Hall of Fame, where the sport of basketball was invented in 1891. So, yeah. So this street, so we are going up State Street, used to be called King Street, and what we would call terra firma, or solid ground, would start right about here. Now the next block over, that's where Quincy Market is. Now here on your left, this is the Custom House Tower. If you saw that nice clock tower, so the base of this was built in 1848, and then in 1913, since it was a federal building. Now Boston at that time had a 125-foot building or height or restriction, but since it was a federal building, like, well, you know, who cares? So it was the tallest building in New England until the Prudential Tower was built in 1964. So that area right behind us is Faneuil Hall, Quincy Market. We'll be seeing it when we get out of the water as we head back. So, and we're going up King Street. Okay, since we're gonna kill some time here. All right, so why the perennial question? Why are there so many Dunkin' Donuts, Harvey? Well, Dunkin' Donuts was started in Quincy, Massachusetts. It was not called Dunkin' Donuts. It was called Open Kettle. Now, the owner of this breakfast place started to see that his patrons would put the donuts into the coffee, so he renamed it Dunkin' Donuts. So that breakfast, the original Dunkin' Donuts, still exists. And the corporate headquarters is also in Providence, Rhode Island. So that is why there are so many Dunkin' Donuts in Boston. So, and we're all addicted to it. So that's why they have it there, because we don't want to poke the bear. Okay, right in front of us. Get your cameras ready. We're going to be passing it on your left side. That is the old State House, built in 1713, seat of the provincial government. So that's why you'll see a lion, the unicorn. The lion, of course, represents England. The unicorn represents Scotland. So it was from that balcony, though, on July 18, 1776, the people of Boston heard for the reading of the very first time the Declaration of Independence. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. Hashtag work in progress. Yeah, please remember Thomas Jefferson. Yes. Now Thomas Jefferson, a lot of people are like, oh, it was. Now Thomas Jefferson during the Second Continental Congress, there was a committee of 5. Now John Adams was one of them. Now John Adams, when he was down in Philadelphia, he rented an apartment right across the street from Independence Hall, and he's like doing all the work. Meanwhile, Thomas Jefferson rents a home a mile away, has like a horse and carriage, bring him every day. So John, they're trying to think who can write the Declaration. John Adams is like, well, Thomas is pretty good. He's got really nothing going on. He's always coming and strolling in here, his horse and carriage. Give it to him. So that's how, yeah, so there was a really interesting guy. So I know some people said, oh, it was written by a bunch of slaveholders. Actually, no, it was the only one. It was Thomas Jefferson, John Adams. The other people at the committee were also from Pennsylvania as well. So it was just, since Thomas Jefferson really didn't have much to do, John Adams is just like, I'm too busy trying to create a country. So John Adams also, his wife, and so that night they threw down the Lion, the Unicorn. Abigail Adams, John Adams' wife, was here, and Abigail Adams, oh, she could throw shade well before RuPaul. You did not. When John was on the way to Philadelphia, she wrote a letter to him, March 31st, 1776. John, beware of these delegates, these men from Virginia and the Carolinas, these men who speak of liberty but yet deprive others of it. Yeah. Oh, yeah. That was 200. And she also in the letter writes his famous words, John, remember the ladies. Yeah. So yes, there's a T-shirt at Faneuil Hall that says, "Remember the ladies, Abigail Adams." So yeah. And she writes that night they threw down the Lion, the Unicorn. Those are replicas put up in 1880. There's actually, they found a time capsule in the head of the Lion from 1880. They replaced it with a new time capsule in 2014. Boston Marathon medallion and a David Ortiz bobblehead. Now in front of this building, that is where the incident on King Street occurred. But if you lived, if you lived over in England, but if you lived in the 13 colonies, it was called the Boston Massacre. March 5th, 1770, a group of not very well behaved Bostonians are taunting 8 British soldiers, swearing at them and throwing snowballs at them. Yeah, swearing and throwing things with guys with guns. Yeah, this is going to end well. One of the soldiers gets hit with a snowball, accidentally firing off his musket. In the confusion, everyone thinks the command to fire has been given. Take a look on your right. See that giant tea kettle? That's not how much caffeine I consume to do this job on a daily basis. That is what's called a pictogram. A pictogram is what tells people who may not know the language what is sold inside that store. And what was sold inside that store was tea. There was a contest. If you could guess how much tea could fit in that tea kettle, you could get a year's supply of tea. The correct answer is 227 gallons, 2 quarts, 1 pint, and 3 gills. What is a gill? It is a quarter of a pint. How did I find it out? I looked it up. Okay, I'm just watching. We got a Honda. We got okay, cool. This is Tremont Street. We're going to be going by some burial grounds. The first burial ground here on your left, this is the King's Chapel burial ground. This is the first European burial ground in Boston, 1630. That first winter, one of the Puritans is like, Dad, you're dying. Where do you want to go? The garden. So that's how the first burial ground comes about. A lot of those headstones have been moved around over the centuries, convenient for lawnmowers. Right where that's not the entrance to the underworld, that's actually a subway vent. Boston has the first subway system in the United States. Now if those people continue walking down that path, they will pass the headstone of Elizabeth Payne. Elizabeth Payne's family crest looked like the letter A. And Nathaniel Hawthorne used to walk by there, and he started to develop a story of a young woman by the name of Hester Prynne, the Scarlet Letter. And actually at the end of the Scarlet Letter, there's the epilogue, and they talk about a headstone next to Old King's Chapel. So yes, if you ever read that, that's the thing. So that's the... Yeah. Oh look, it's my least favorite bird in Boston, the jaywalker. Yeah, I wish they were more endangered. They're not a very intelligent being, but they seem to flourish in our community. No natural predators. School Street, first public school in the United States. Boston Lab was founded here, 1635. Still exists over the Fenway area. Yes. Omni Parker House, oldest continuously run hotel in the United States. Boston cream pie was invented there. Ho Chi Minh worked there. Malcolm X worked there. John Fitzgerald Kennedy proposed to Jacqueline Bouvier in the dining room. It is, if you happen to stay there, just to give you a heads up, haunted. Supposedly the guy who started, Harvey Parker. Now his building first was a 5-story building, then he built 3 stories. So, and it's hello, how are you, sir? Give him a quack. On your back. All right, get off your phone and move your car. Come on, get off your phone. Harvey likes to go to the 9th, 10th, and 11th and 12th floors, because how many floors was his building? Each. So he wants to tell everyone he's still there. Let's go look at the Patriots, not the ones that aren't doing well this season. Sam Adams, leader of the Sons of Liberty, sign of the Declaration of Independence, second governor of the Commonwealth of Massachusetts. He's buried, yes, the guy the beer is named after. The 5 victims of the Boston Massacre are buried in this burial ground. Warning, stupid joke coming up. Hey, it's the Beantown Pub. The only place in the world you can have a cold Sam Adams. I'm looking at a cold Sam Adams. But I don't think he's cold. I think he's more brittle, dusty. You could probably stir him in, like kind of like that energy drink. Like, ooh, feel that patriotism. Yeah, all right. Benjamin Franklin's parents are buried here. Now, Benjamin Franklin, we usually associate him with the city of Philadelphia. But Ben Franklin is Boston Lansdowne's famous dropout. What happened to Ben? He had to go work for an older brother. And him and his older brother get into a great big fight. And when you get into a big fight with your older brother, what city are you going to naturally move to? The city of brotherly... You just got the... John and Sam were cousins. They were cousins, yeah. Paul, listen, my children, and you shall hear the midnight ride of Paul Revere. So we're going to be going panoramic view of the skyline of the Back Bay. Over on your right, we come into view. This area of Cambridge is called Kendall Square. Silicon Valley in the east. A lot of biotech companies, Google, Microsoft, Apple, IBM, Mars, Moderna. Why is there so many biotech companies? Well, see that beige building? Looks like it's a golf ball. So that's the campus of MIT, Massachusetts Institute of Technology. Further up the river, really hard to see with the solar glare, but where that crane is, you can see that is the Citgo sign. That is a landmark for Fenway Park. It's no longer operated by Citgo. It got landmarks status because marathon runners knew it was 1 mile to go to the finish line of the Boston Marathon. Now, the building that you're seeing, the big blue building, that's the John Hancock Tower. Technically, it's called 200 Clarendon Street. It was built in 1969 to 1975 to replace the old Hancock Tower. But the John, see the building with that kind of like that, that says John Hancock on it? Well, the John Hancock Insurance Company moved out of their new building and moved back into their old building. So, but if you're walking around Boston and you point to that big blue building, people will say that's the Hancock Tower. Then you point to the building with the logo on it, they'll just say that's the old Hancock Tower. So if you say 200 Clarendon Street, unless you're like a walking tour guide or something, this area is called the Hat Shell. That's where the Boston Pops performed the 1812 Overture. That very famous. What is that? That's real cannon fire. No, they are not using live ammunition. Okay, that would be a little dangerous. Let's go fire on Cambridge. So, if what does it say USA, then Tchaikovsky. Yeah, celebrating the Russian victory army over Napoleon. Yeah. Putin had nothing to do with it. It's like people are like, wait a minute, isn't it for the War of 1812? No. It comes about in 1974 when the Boston Pops were invited by the city of Boston to do a free concert to Broadway on the 4th of July. So the conductor at the time of the Boston Pops, his name was Arthur Fiedler. And they asked us to Fiedler, what are you going to do? He's an opportunity. Like, what are you going to play for us, sir? And Arthur Fiedler famously said, you shall bring me fireworks and bring you the music. So he chooses that symphony because at the end of the symphony, church bells are, so he has like one of the churches ring their bell, and then the U.S. military come in and they fire up a howitzer. So coming back to the DUKWs, now 20,000 these vehicles, these were retired from the U.S. military service in the 1960s. We were not the first duck tour company in the United States. My friends from Wisconsin should know the Wisconsin Dells. They still operate today. Our company starts in 1994, but in 1992, our founder by the name of Andy Wilson, he was traveling around the United States. He saw that he was working for a bank, really not enjoying going to an office every day, sitting at his desk. I can relate to the story. So he kind of like takes a break from work, goes down to Tennessee, visiting a family friend. They go down to Graceland, they're staying at a hotel. The next morning they wake up, and Andy sees We could do this here in Boston. We'd love to ship bring people to the Back Bay. So 1994, our company starts with 15 employees, 4 ducks. Today we've gone from 30 years later, over 200 employees. Two of our originals are still with the company. Our CEO and our chief mechanic, so still with the company. And today we've gone from 4 ducks to 29 ducks. All of our ducks are replica. These are not the original ones. So we put I know Wisconsin, they just go in and out. Ours, we put about 200 miles a gallon on them. So yeah, they were well made. But although we're in our Red Sox Pride duck, all of our ducks are green technology. We use biodiesel. So yes, we really put our money where our bills are. So okay. Now over on your right, this is Massachusetts General Hospital, better known as MGH. One of the top hospitals here in the United States. Couple medical first. First time the drug ether was documented as an anesthetic. That's pretty big news, especially if you've ever been underneath the knife. Because before then, the good surgeon, it's not somebody who was like, oh, you're not feeling well? The good surgeon was like, sorry to be, not to be sexist, ladies, but we're just pretty much big, brawny guys to hold the patient down while the surgeon just went, you do not want to go for surgery unless your life depended on it. And some doctors are like, oh, this maybe could help women going through the pains of childbirth. Now some doctors are like, oh, this could harm the mother. This could harm the baby. Other doctors are like, no, women, you deserve the pain. Because it was your fault, ladies, that us men got kicked out of the Garden of Eden. No answer for you. Yeah. Sadly, this is not a joke. And luckily, there was a woman from Boston by the name of Fanny Appleton Longfellow. Said, gentlemen, this is the dumbest thing I think I've heard in my life. Give me that ether now. So she becomes the first woman ever in documented Western medical science to go under anesthesia for childbirth. First time an X-ray was used for medical purposes, that was in 1896. So, hey, I want to make sure you're all paying attention. These folks can get married to the Museum of Science. Why do folks like to get married to the Museum of Science? All the chemistry. That's science. And hey, marriage can always be an experiment. Yeah. So, also, I don't know if any of the kids on board ever heard of the video game Subway Surfer. Well, there was kids in Somerville, Massachusetts, that's the city right next to Cambridge, that were really subway surfing. One of these kids falls off the subway, arm is severed, rushed over to Mass General. 18 hours later, first time an extremity is reattached to a live human being. Yes. And it's also very near and dear to me, because in order to run them, people are always like, how do you run a marathon? Easy. Lose your sanity for a few moments, find one online, and off you go. Now, did I become a charity? Did I qualify for Boston? It's a qualifying marathon. No. We're going to hear a safety one real fast. No, I was close to qualifying 2015, but then 2016 they increased it to the qualifying time. And so what I did, what thousands of runners do each year, is I reached out to the various nonprofit organizations that get bibs, and I became a charity runner for Run for MGH. So my medallions at home, each one is worth $9,000 each, because that's how much money I raise each year for the Massachusetts General Hospital Pediatric Cancer and Oncology Research Team in memory of a friend. So that's what my little black toenails do. Help kids battling cancer. Thank you. I want to draw your attention. They were back right here to Molly Molasses. And the other 230 duck. Let's see. On your mark! How are you, friend? Yes. So directly to your 11 o'clock, you'll see something that looks like the Washington Monument. That looks like the Washington Monument, and of course it's not the Washington Monument. That is the Battle of Bunker Hill Monument, which is where the Battle of Bunker Hill was fought on June 17, 1775. But here's the thing that messes everybody up. The Battle of Bunker Hill Monument is not on Bunker Hill. It's on Breeds Hill. Yeah, that's one of those things, once again, somebody from Boston's got to kind of tell you what's going on for that one. Yeah, it's method behind the madness. And you all are raising money right now by coming on a duck tour. Oh, how we became the world famous Boston duck tour. Yes, you're going to hear about the New England Patriots. Yes, you're going to hear about Tom Brady. Sir, by wearing the Falcons hat. So the last year I ran the Boston Marathon, 2017. There was a guy at Heartbreak Hill that said, touch for power. New England 3, Atlanta 28. 2 minutes, 13 seconds, third quarter. Now, if you've ever run a marathon, so this guy's over to the side of the road, and after running 18, and your hips on, so if you're gonna turn, it is one of the most painful things I've had to do. But there was a guy that said, touch for power. And you knew all the New England fans because they were touching that sign that says, so yes, so it's now an unofficial New England, yeah, 328, yeah. So that's yes. So yeah, Tom Brady. Now back when I was growing up, you could not give away New England Patriots tickets. They stunk. If you lived 100 miles west of Boston, you got the New York Giants game. They in the 90s, they were awful. Then they got better. They went to the Super Bowl. They lost to the Packers. 1990, yes. 2001, our star quarterback Drew Bledsoe gets injured. And guess who comes to his rescue? This, 6'4", 180 pound, 199th draft pick out of the 6th round at the University of Michigan. And he raced the New England Patriots to our first Super Bowl victory. Okay, time to get our duck out of the river. How does this thing get out of the river? Well, there's a song I created for screaming kids. It's called The Wheels on the Duck. Want to hear it? It's a really good song. The wheels on the duck stay under the duck. Under the duck, under the duck, the front wheel drive will catch the ram, and the Coast Guard radio's been shut off. Oh, it's my friend Splish here. Hello, Splish. On your back. Okay.